All right, this is the Havenshine Podcast here at the Kenwalk Chinese Restaurant in North Providence, Rhode Island. My name is Saximus.
And my name is Ghoul. And today, we're going to talk to you about video games. Starting things off, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch. And, you know, it's one of those things that a lot of people are talking about at the moment.
I need to get one. but money. I mean, there are a lot of really great games already out for it. I'm hyped for a lot of games that are going to come out for it. Not just Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart, but ARMS is going to come out, which I definitely plan to pick up once it comes out. Smash, maybe, hopefully, for Switch.
I haven't heard a whole lot about Smash on the Switch. I know it's happening. It has to happen. There has to be a Smash Brothers.
I'd be very surprised if it didn't happen.
But
even if it's just a straight-up port of Smash 4, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be.
Yeah.
ARMS is one of those games that I'm not really sure how it's going to go. Because it's one of those games that it's like, if the motion controls for the Switch are beautiful, then yeah, ARMS will be a great title.
Well, see, here's the thing about ARMS. You don't actually need to use the motion controls. You can play with just a regular controller.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. I thought it was like the Wii Sports boxing where you had to actually throw the punches.
It's just an option. And for those of you listening who don't know what ARMS is, imagine Dhalsim from Street Fighter, but every character is Dhalsim, and it's a behind-the-back camera perspective, and everyone's throwing these long, noodly arms at one another.
It's like high-speed Wii Sports boxing.
Basically.
It's advanced Wii Sports boxing. That's what ARMS is.
With customizable equipment and supers and shields and all that jazz.
Yeah, all that fighting game stuff. So that'll definitely be something interesting. Once it comes out, we'll be seeing a lot of that at Havenshine, hopefully.
Hopefully. Because we already have a few players here who have Switches.
Yeah, there are a couple of those. Which I think there's some Mario Kart happening behind us right now.
I gotta hop in on that when we're done.
But yeah, the Nintendo Switch is just one of those things that it's really interesting because some people really love it, and then there's people like me that are just relatively indifferent about Nintendo things. Because like, yeah, Zelda's cool, Mario is cool, but it's like, why buy a whole console for
2 games?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I just love. I mean, and I haven't owned a Nintendo console since an N64, even though I grew up with Nintendo. But on paper, I love the kind of versatility of the Switch, because you can play it like a tablet, you can set the screen up, and you can turn the Joy-Con to turn them into 2 different controllers, or you can use them as motion controls. I think it's going to be a while before we see games that really take advantage of everything that the Switch has to offer. Particularly, what I find around really interesting to be the haptic feedback of the control, of the Joy-Con. I remember back in January they held a presentation, Nintendo did, and they showed all the things they can do with the Joy-Con, and I saw it and thought to myself, wow, from a technical perspective this is fascinating, but from a game design perspective, what can you really do with this? And I'm curious to see what developers can do with that. See if there's anything interesting they can do.
And that's the thing with Nintendo, right? Is like ever since the Nintendo Wii came out, they're always trying to innovate how games are played.
Right.
Like they weren't the first ones to do motion controls, but the Wii was like the first console that really took massive advantage of motion control gaming.
Oh yeah.
And then ever since then, with the 3DS, with the certain games had like integrated the camera and like the 3D function on it, like.
But even going back to the regular plain old DS, a system having 2 screens was unheard of at the time.
Exactly.
One to being a touchscreen, and there are a ton of games that take advantage of the touchscreen and the non-touch screen. I love my 3DS personally. But
yeah, like that's just the thing with Nintendo is that where they lack with innovation for new games, because like it's always going to be your Mario, Zelda, whatever. They make up for with the innovation in their console design,
right,
and how you actually play those familiar feeling games. And I think that's where Nintendo really makes their money, especially with the Switch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to depend a lot on a lot of third-party and indie developers seeing what they can do with the hardware.
Hopefully, Skyrim on Switch, man. Being able to take Skyrim wherever you go is a huge thing.
I actually never played Skyrim.
You should.
I know I should.
But speaking of Skyrim and upcoming stuff, moving on to the next topic is to talk about like upcoming fighting games mostly.
Because here at Havenshine, we play fighting games.
It's mostly fighting games.
I believe we're the premier FGC community, fighting game community in Rhode Island.
In Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the only one. But and we have a huge selection of games down here. It's not just Smash. We play Dead or Alive. We play Street Fighter.
King of Fighters, Rivals of Ether.
Rivals of Ether is a good one.
Dive Kick.
Dive Kick is a fan favorite around here.
Gets surprisingly hype.
Dive Kick is one of the hypest games. But up and coming, we have Injustice 2 coming out.
I haven't played Injustice 1, but it seems like a pretty fun game. I don't know very much about it.
I played Injustice 1 very, very, briefly. I'm not a huge, DC fan, so, the whole, DC characters didn't really appeal to me. But, as a fighting game, Injustice is pretty solid.
Okay.
It's, it takes things from Mortal Kombat, but it sort of simplifies it in a way, because Mortal Kombat being, a 4-button game, where you have, 1 button per limb.
Right.
Injustice really doesn't do that as much. It's more like a light, medium, heavy kind of thing.
So it's closer to Marvel or Street Fighter in that regard.
I'd say closer to Marvel.
Okay.
And it's a hold back to block game, which is fantastic. I hate block buttons in 2D personally.
Yeah, they're kind of weird.
Yeah, but Injustice 2 coming out rather. A lot of people are super excited about that. And the thing about NetherRealm games is that they never coexist. So it's when Injustice 2 comes out, Mortal Kombat X is dead. And that's just the thing. When Mortal Kombat 9 was big,
right,
and then Injustice 1 came out,
then 9 just died,
and Mortal Kombat 9 died, and then
9 didn't last very long either.
It really didn't. But then Mortal Kombat X came out, and Injustice died.
And now Injustice 2 is coming out.
So now Mortal Kombat X is gonna die.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you.
And that's just the thing. NetherRealm games have always been like that. It's you don't have a Mortal Kombat community and an Injustice community. You have a NetherRealm community. And it just seems like even top players like Sonic Fox, who's most well known for his Mortal Kombat X gameplay,
he's really good,
is just completely switching over to Injustice 2.
Yeah.
And another thing that I've noticed about Injustice is that with a lot of new games that are coming out, actually, is that they like to announce DLC before the game even releases.
And they're not the only ones to do that.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of games.
Capcom. You could include Sigma in Infinite, but you're not. He's going to be a DLC character.
Of course. But Injustice 2 just announced the first DLC pack, which is going to include, if I'm not mistaken, Starfire. I think it was Black Manta, who's Aquaman's villain.
Right.
And I believe Sub-Zero.
Okay.
Is a guest character coming from Mortal Kombat.
I wasn't Sub-Zero in the first, or was that Scorpion in the first?
Scorpion was in the first Injustice
okay.
game. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the only Mortal Kombat character.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, but there's also hints towards having Raiden in Injustice 2 as another crossover from Mortal Kombat.
And going back to what you said about how with Mortal Kombat and Injustice, when one scene begins, another will die. I can't really imagine that happening with other developers of games. When Infinite comes out, I highly doubt Street Fighter V is going to die.
Yeah, I mean, look at Bandai Namco, for instance,
right.
With Soul Calibur and Tekken. Those games coexisted for a long time. And, I don't know what it is about NetherRealm games that one kills the other, but it just happens that way.
That's very weird.
From my experience. It is pretty weird. And maybe it's just because the games are so similar. But, similar art styles, the way the characters are drawn. Injustice 2, artistically, looks a lot like Mortal Kombat X.
It does. Yeah.
So it's the way things are drawn, the way the animations work, even the sound effects, all look very similar to a Mortal Kombat game, but, underneath the hood, experienced fighting game players will know that they play very differently.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I've played very little of either one, so...
Yeah, so it's I've talked to some friends that they're oh, isn't Injustice just Mortal Kombat, but with DC characters? And it's well, on the surface, yes. To a casual player, yes, that's exactly what it is. But to somebody that understands fighting games, they're very different games.
So we also got Tekken 7 coming up. I know nothing about Tekken.
Oh, my God. Tekken is my favorite fighting game series of all time.
Really?
I am so excited about Tekken 7. I have Digital Deluxe Edition, Season Pass, pre-ordered, fully paid. I'm just ready to hop in the time machine and go to June 2nd for Tekken to come out. Tekken, we have been waiting for a new Tekken game for a long time.
Really? We
haven't gotten one since Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Wow.
Which was on the PlayStation 3. We have not had a Tekken game on this console generation yet.
It's wild.
It is. Bandai has just not given us a Tekken game for this console generation. And I mean, the same thing with Soul Calibur, but there isn't a new Soul Calibur being announced, so we don't really need to talk about Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
Tekken looks like everything I want in a fighting game. And that's not just because I love Tekken so much. I was actually looking into it, the DLC model. It goes back to what I said about Injustice, them announcing DLC characters before the game even comes out.
Right.
Tekken did the same thing, except they didn't tell us who the DLC characters are.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, like, we were given option to buy Season Pass with pre-order, which I did. Mm-hmm. So we were told that we will be receiving 2 guest characters from different video game licenses.
Oh, that's very cool. Because wasn't Akuma in Tekken 6?
Akuma, Akuma's first appearance in the Tekken franchise is in 7.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, it's in arcades, isn't it? It's coming to home consoles.
Tekken 7 is currently released in arcades, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay. What we're waiting for is the console release.
Right. Okay.
But, like, you can go to Round 1 down in Taunton and play Tekken 7.
Oh, all right.
Mind you, it's a very outdated version. Like, Akuma isn't even in that version. Mm. But what we're waiting for is the console release, and that's going to have all the game modes, all the characters, everything that you want to see in a Tekken game. Mm-hmm. And my favorite part about the Season Pass model that Tekken 7 has going on is that the game itself is complete.
That's good.
Like, the game itself has the content and the roster to make a complete fighting game, and then the Season Pass is on top of it.
Mm-hmm. So the Season Pass includes characters, obviously.
New characters, stages, and I'm pretty sure there's a new game mode. There's going to be like a new game mode that Season Pass holders are going to get access to. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's 2 characters with stages for each character, and some extra costumes I think Season Pass holders get. And I believe there's going to be a new game mode that we're not sure what it is yet.
Okay.
And that's the thing, is that Season Pass holders, they know they're getting all of this extra content. They just don't know what the content is going to be yet. We don't know who the guest characters are going to be.
Right.
We don't know what the stages are going to look like, because the stages are obviously going to coincide with who the characters are. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what the new game mode is, because they just haven't told us.
Right.
But, like, Tekken 7 has a very complete game. Because, I mean, obviously the game's already finished if it's released in arcades.
Right.
Like, people are already satisfied with Tekken 7. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes out and the Season Pass content drops, it's going to be even better. And that's why I am so excited about Tekken.
So, as someone who plays Street Fighter, has never touched Tekken, and I feel weird comparing one fighting game to another, but what does Tekken do differently compared to Street Fighter?
Well, there's the elephant in the room, which is 3D.
Right.
So Tekken is a 3D game, whereas Street Fighter is a 2D game. Obviously. So in Tekken, you can sidestep and sort of move in 3 dimensions, whereas in Street Fighter, you're locked into the 2D plane. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, Tekken is a I don't want to say it's a slower game, because Street Fighter V in particular is a very slow-paced, take-your-turn game.
Methodical.
It's a very methodical, calculated game, and Tekken is very much the same way.
Okay.
But it's also a slower game in the sense of advanced fighting game players will know that frame data in 3D games is much slower than in 2D games. Mm-hmm. So, like, your generic jab in Tekken is usually 10 frames or slower.
It's a long time for a jab.
It's a long time for a jab, but in 3D space, like when you're animating a 3D model to look and move like a human would, 10 frames isn't a whole lot.
Right.
10 frames is pretty standard, but like to a Street Fighter player who knows that his jab is like 3 frames, he might not be used to his jab being that slow.
Yeah.
So like it's one of those things where 3D versus 2D is just a completely different world. Mm. So it's like they tried to sort of bridge the gap with the presence of Akuma, and Akuma translates very well from what I've seen. I haven't actually gotten to spend time with Akuma, but I've seen plenty of people use him.
Right.
And from what I've seen, Akuma in Tekken translates very well to his older Street Fighter versions.
Okay.
So it's like he has all the same moves. He has your Hadouken, your Tatsus, your Shoryuken.
Raging Demon?
He does have Raging Demon.
Good. It's not Akuma without a Raging Demon.
Exactly. But he has all of those moves that make him Akuma, but they just translated them to 3D, and I think Bandai did a pretty good job of that.
Okay. All right, so moving on to Marvel, which I'm personally hyped for. I mean, I only recently got into Marvel, but the reason I'm hyped for it is because the game that got me into fighting games is a game that was inspired by Marvel, and that is Skullgirls.
Skullgirls is a good...
I adore Skullgirls. It's the game that got me into fighting games, and I actually get my tag, Saximus, from Big Band, one of the characters in Skullgirls. And I know Skullgirls is very heavily based off of Marvel 2, which I've never played. And I got Marvel 3 when it dropped on PC a few months ago, and I was only able to play it for like a week, maybe 2 weeks before I got fed up with it, because it's a simple game to pick up. There are only 4 attack buttons, and there are a lot of universal combos. but you're forced to main 3 characters right off the bat, and everyone I fought online had 5 years worth of experience over me.
Yeah, that's one of those things, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, or Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, rather,
Right.
is one of those games that it's like, if you don't already play Marvel, you probably are going to have a hard time getting into it.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where if an experienced player even touches you, you lose all 3 of your characters.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that UMVC 3 is. But I'm excited for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because that's not the case.
Yeah. And one of the things I like about Infinite so far, and also one of the things I like about Skullgirls, is that in Marvel 3, like you said, if you get 1 hit confirm, it turns into a single-player game.
Exactly.
All you need is 3 hit confirms to lose. Skullgirls has the infinite prevention system, which allows you to break out of combos if your opponent uses 1 attack too frequently, which adds another layer of depth with resets and reading your opponent's resets and burst baiting your opponent, which I really like. But Infinite allows you to, I think, spend 2 meter to tag in your opponent. No, not opponent.
To tag in your
partner character.
Partner character to break you out of the combo.
Exactly,
yeah.
which I think is really neat.
I think that's a fantastic addition to the game.
It really
is.
is.
Because it's one of those things that, like, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was so inaccessible because of how good people were.
Oh, yeah.
It's like no new player is going to want to pick up the game and immediately get touched to death and not even be able to press a button.
Right. And for someone like me, I was going into Marvel. I was actually kind of spoiled because up until then, the 2 fighting games I played most, other than Rivals of Aether, were Street Fighter and Smash 4. And Smash, for a long time, the Smash community has been the undisputed champions of content creation. There's always a new tutorial or combo video or top 10 list every single day uploaded.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
And Street Fighter and other fighting games are starting to catch up to that. I remember when Colleen dropped in Street Fighter V a few months ago, there was a new tutorial every single day. But when I started picking up Marvel 3, I thought, I wonder how to play Arthur, or I wonder how to play Amaterasu. And I hopped onto YouTube, and there's nothing.
There's nothing.
There's absolutely nothing.
Marvel players they don't make content, they just play the game.
You're going to learn combos on your own, you're going to get bodied on your own, you're going to like it.
Yeah, like half of the time you play Marvel, you need to be in training mode just practicing combos. And like if you don't have touch to death combos, you have no business even hopping in a Marvel bracket.
Pretty much.
So like it's one of those things where Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is excuse me, is really going to change the game in that sense that new players won't immediately die as soon as go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can spend meter to break out of combos, which I think is awesome. They took that out of Mortal Kombat's book, in my opinion. With,
I didn't know they did that in Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, if you're getting comboed, you can spend 2 bars of meter to break the combo. So it's just one of those things. It doesn't work the same way in Infinite, because in Infinite it tags in your other character.
Right.
But I mean, obviously in Mortal Kombat you don't have another character. But the same system sort of applies. You spend 2 bars of meter, you don't die.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic thing for new players to be able to jump into the game and not die as soon as they get touched.
Yeah. And speaking of new players, I know that they're doing a lot of things with accessibility with Marvel Infinite, which I'm fine with, considering how complex the combo system in those games can be. It's not particularly accessible. But I know some people have been getting concerned, let's say, over the auto combo system, where you can, I think, just mash light punch and they'll just do an auto combo.
A lot of games are migrating to that, actually. King of Fighters 14 is a really good example. You just hit light punch and a combo happens.
Yeah.
And you spend a bar meter, a super comes out at the end of it, and you get some damage, and it's easy to do, which is great for new players.
Right.
But I'm not really worried about it in Marvel vs. Capcom because of the fact that we all know, like, as experienced fighting game players, we know that anything that the computer does for you,
Players can do better.
Players can do better.
And I think Capcom's confirmed that auto combos are not optimal combos.
Yeah, like I think from what I understand, they actually intentionally nerfed the damage of the auto combos. So like if you're if you're doing the auto combo and a super comes out at the end of it, that super will actually do reduced damage.
Okay.
I believe.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so it's like if you were to input that super manually, it would do full damage. So it's like experienced players will know that doing manual combos is going to net them much more success than playing the auto combos. So it's like at high level play, the auto combos aren't really going to change anything because no one's going to be doing them.
Right.
So basically what it is, it's just an accessibility tool for a new player to be able to jump in, hit a button, do a cool combo, and enjoy the game.
And if they have the option to turn off auto combos, that just fixes every problem.
Yeah, that fixes all of it too, if you can turn that off, which would be... I mean, options are always better.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean, it never hurts it never hurts to put another thing in the options menu for players to change about the game.
Absolutely. Now, as far as characters go, I mean, I'm hyped for Marvel. Disregarding all the other reasons, I'm hyped for Marvel because Capcom is finally acknowledging that the Mega Man X series exists.
Oh my god!
And I'm so happy about that because I'm a big Mega Man fan. We got X and Sigma finally in Marvel, but I find really interesting is that other than those two, we only have 2 confirmed new characters, Ultron and Captain Marvel.
That's interesting. I don't know a whole lot about Capcom.
I guess half confirmed because they added Groot, but he looks like he's going to be like a 2-in-1 character with Rocket Raccoon, which I guess makes sense.
I guess so. Yeah.
But yeah, those 4.5 I guess characters are the only new ones we have so far. Now, as far as a wish list goes, I'd be very surprised if they didn't add Black Widow. Because
with all the popularity of the Marvel
Avengers.
Cinematic Universe,
and all 5 other Avengers have already been in.
Yep.
On the Capcom side, I'd be very okay with Phoenix Wright returning, as well as Simon Blackwell from the newer Phoenix Wright games, because he's basically a samurai, so he already has the pseudo.
Is Phoenix Wright not in the MVCI?
Not confirmed yet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I play Phoenix Wright in Marvel 3, which is probably why I lose so much. But I'm a big Ace Attorney fan. I've always loved his design in Marvel 3.
That's another thing to talk about with Marvel, too, is that you just said it. I like this character, which is probably why I lose.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things with Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is that, like, if you're not playing a top tier in your team...
If you don't have Doctor Doom or Morrigan or Zero...
Or Virgil...
Luckily, I happen to like Zero. I have him on my team, too, but Phoenix Wright kind of cancels it out.
Like... Marvel vs. Capcom 3 has, like, this list of, like, 10 characters that are just better than all of the other characters. And if you're playing against any of these 10 characters, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, and you might get a wild card in there, like Tron Bon or She-Hulk or something like that. But...
Unless you're, like, leagues better than the player you're fighting against... Like, you're probably going to lose to top-tier characters in Marvel, and that's just the way Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, some people might like it, some people might not, but personally, I'd like to be able to play characters that I enjoy and be able to do well with them.
Right.
So, I mean, that's another reason I'm excited about MVCI.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we got ARMS, we got MVCI, Tekken 7, Injustice 2. We also got the new Call of Duty game. I know nothing about Call of Duty.
Call of Duty is one of those things that it's like, what can you really say about Call of Duty other than one comes out every year?
Yeah.
This one in particular happens to be kind of exciting for the community because we're moving away from jetpacks and lasers, and we're going back to World War II.
That's cool.
Which was one of the favorite Call of Duty games of all time for most people was Call of Duty World at War, which was the 5th installment of the franchise and took place in a World War II setting. And we haven't seen it since then. Like, since Call of Duty 6 Modern Warfare 2 came out,
it's
always
been...
Modern Warfare 2, like 2006-ish, something like that. Like,
wow, that's a long time.
Like early Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era.
Wow.
Like since, well, I mean, because World at War was on Xbox 360 and PS3 as well, and actually so was COD 4. So, but yeah, since World at War, we haven't seen a World War II setting. It's always been either modern or future since then.
Weird.
So, like, now the community is, like, from what I've seen, is really excited about going back to World War II. With the success of Battlefield 1 being in a World War I setting, it kind of makes sense that the Call of Duty developers were like, oh, well, we thought that past set war games weren't gonna be a success anymore, but Battlefield did it well, so why don't we go back and do it?
That makes sense.
Which, if they do it right, will be really good for the Call of Duty franchise.
Yeah, I'm not really huge into FPS shoot-bang games. The only ones I really play on a regular basis are TF2 and Overwatch, which everyone plays.
Yep. But... Call of Duty's tough, man, because the community is really difficult to please. Because, like, they want a new game every year, but then when the new game comes out...
They hate it.
They hate it because it's not like the old game. So it's like, it's one of those things, like, what can you do?
Yeah.
You know? And I think that going back to World War II with the new Call of Duty game it's a good idea. And it's like, it's good on paper, it makes sense. Now all they have to do is get it right.
Right.
And that will determine the success of Call of Duty after that. And the direction that it goes.
Let's move on to talking about The Establishment, which is our major that is coming up, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after that, Saturday the 20th, at the Phoenix Sportsman's Club in West Warwick, Rhode Island. We've already got a lot of people registered, looks like, and I am very excited for that. We have a huge lineup. Rivals of Ether, Guilty Gear, Madden 17, Blaze Blue, Bomberman on the Switch, Dead or Alive, King of Fighters, Marvel 3, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare Remastered, Street Fighter 5, Injustice 2, and singles and doubles for Melee, Smash 4, and Project M. I said Rivals.
Yeah, like, it's just, this event is huge for the Rhode Island community.
And there's going to be board games throughout the entire event, so if you've got some downtime between tournaments, bring a board game and you can have some fun.
Yeah, board games are great. Board games are always fun.
Love board games.
The establishment is huge for the Rhode Island gaming community because we've never had an event this large before. So it's one of those things where it's like, this is our first big event ever. It has the biggest player base, the most games.
And I'm looking at the list. I know we already have some of the top New England players coming to show up. Craftus, who's the Sonic main in Smash 4. I know he's coming.
Yep, Craftus. We have B-Boy Dragon, a Dead or Alive player that's coming.
Right. Our very own Ricky Icebeam, who's my Street Fighter senpai.
Actually, Ricky Icebeam is going to come join you on the show right now to help you discuss the establishment. So, incoming, we have the one and only Ricky Icebeam.
How's it going?
I'm going. I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Ricky.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is Ricky Icebeam, my Street Fighter senpai, like I said. We're talking about the establishment, which is coming up in a little less than 2 weeks.
Yes, it is on May 20th.
May 20th.
It's a Saturday. So you have no excuse to not be there.
I'm free. I actually had plans, but I canceled the plans just so I could be there. Also because I'm helping running the Rivals of Ether bracket, but man. So can you tell us? I mean, I know this is one of our first majors. Are you going to be helping out with Street Fighter 5 or some of the other brackets, or what will you be doing?
Yeah, so I'm the Street Fighter TO for Havenshine, and so at this tournament, I'm TOing the Street Fighter 5. We're reaching out to other members of the Street Fighter community, other TOs, to see if they want to come, potentially bring some of their players, potentially help run some of the brackets. And so this is actually a good opportunity to reach out. I'm messaging people on Facebook. I'm going to be posting on Facebook. It really is a call to arms for all the Street Fighter community to come together at this local where not everybody goes to the major tournaments. Not every Street Fighter player can make it. Not everybody can afford it. Not everybody can afford to take the time off of work. But this is kind of an in-between where it's not really a local because it's bigger than that.
It's much bigger than that. And I've been playing fighting games for a few years, and I've never been to a major. Like Evo or Shine or CEO, and I'd love to go, but like you said, it can be really expensive, travel expenses. I'd have to take time off of work, and for me, who doesn't have the means to do any of that stuff, it's really convenient to have something that's 20 minutes away from my apartment.
Yeah, so it's local. It's all on one day. It's $10 venue fee plus a couple of bucks depending on what tournament you're joining. I know specifically Street Fighter 5 is $10, so if you're coming just to play Street Fighter 5, $10 venue, $10 to enter the tournament. $20 to be in, a bigger tournament, bigger than a local, really getting you prepped for what it would feel like to compete at a major.
Right. Yeah, it looks like Street Fighter 5 and both Melee and Smash 4 $10 per entry, and every other game is $5 or less.
Yeah, I believe there's some free games as well. So if you're there and you're not super competitive, if you want to try out some of the free tournaments, that would be excellent too.
All right. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Take my seat back here. Definitely, if you're not signed up already, come check out the establishment because it is a huge step.
It is on Smash.gg. Just look up the establishment.
Yep. On the Facebook event, there's a link to there's a link to pre-registry there.
If you're a vendor, we're gonna have tables for vendors, for artists, for college reps.
All of that stuff too, yeah. So if you have something gaming related that you want to sell, definitely get in touch with Ron Rigo.
Absolutely.
Because we're taking that kind of stuff too.
All right, last thoughts.
There's a lot of cool fighting games coming out.
And if you're in the Rhode Island or greater New England area and you want to come play some fighting games, come to Havenshine. We're here most days of the week. Sunday is pretty much our kind of free-for-all day. If you bring a fighting game, if people are interested, we'll start a bracket for it.
Yep.
It's also our main Rivals of Ether day, our main Dive Kick day. Monday we do Melee. Thursday we do Smash 4. Friday we do board games.
Fridays is board games. Board games are super fun on Fridays.
A lot of fun.
And I think that's it. Monday is Melee. Thursday is Smash 4. Friday is board games, and Sunday is
and Wednesday
Sunday
is Street Fighter 5.
And Wednesday bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly
Is Street Fighter 5. Which is this Wednesday a Street Fighter week?
Yes, it is.
This Wednesday is a Street Fighter week, right?
Yes, so we do the
Already, yep.
Wednesdays.
So
this Wednesday is
Yep. So this upcoming Wednesday, as of May 7th, I think is the date today
Yes.
that this is being recorded. This coming Wednesday after May 7th is a Street Fighter week, and then after that it is bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely tune in for that if you like Street Fighter, or even if you don't, because we like having people here.
And the food's good at the restaurant. So.
The food is very good at the restaurant here at Kenwalk. They treat us well over here.
All right, I'm Saximus,
My name is Ghoul.
and we'll see you at the next tournament. Hi, Saximus again, here with our very own Monty E63 to talk about Marvel.
Hello, guys.
You hyped for Marvel?
Oh, I'm hyped for Marvel.
What are you hyped about for Marvel?
I'm hyped about like how it's becoming more beginner friendly too. Because I remember back in 3, like unless you had like you guys were saying, if you had top tier, you really couldn't do anything.
Right.
And now even they reduced it to 2 characters, which I think is really good.
Yeah, they did that in Marvel 1, and they're going back to that, which I'm pretty happy about.
And now one thing I've heard rumors about, and I hope they do this, is since there's 2 characters now. I don't know if you know Tatsunoko versus Capcom, but the giant characters, where it takes 2 health bars, where it takes 2 slots.
I've never played Tatsunoko, but I've heard about giant characters.
I really hope they do the giant characters. This would be the perfect chance to do it. Like maybe take a Monster Hunter dragon or something, throw it in there.
Have they ever added Monster Hunter characters?
They have never added Monster Hunter characters. This would be the perfect chance to do it if they do it.
Yeah, and as far as other new characters go, and they've never added Monster Hunter. They've never added Breath of Fire.
Never had Breath of Fire.
There's so many Capcom. There's so many characters you could add. We only have 4.5
You could have
so
2
far.
Ryus in the same game.
We could have 2 Ryus. I know there was a rumor going around that Nina from Breath of Fire 2 was going to be in it, which I'd be okay with. I like Breath of Fire 2.
I also heard the rumor there's going to be a second Phoenix Wright character, Simon Blackwell.
Yes. I was talking about that. I'm very excited for that if it happens.
Same.
Oh my god. Anyway, thank you for joining us, Monty.
Thank you, anytime.
Saximus back here with Worth It. Thank you for joining us. What do you want to talk about today?
I'm going to talk about Rivals at the Establishment.
Rivals at Either, my game. Well,
Yeah.
I'm wearing the sweatshirt.
I know,
I'm wearing
I
the
saw
sweatshirt,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like about more Rivals?
I feel like it's more welcoming than Melee, and it's not, as a sense, not as technically not demanding as Smash 4.
You mean it's more technically demanding than Smash 4?
Well, like, not kind of. It's an
Yeah.
in-between between Melee and Smash 4.
Yeah, and I've been playing Marvels ever since it came. Marvels. I've been playing Rivals ever since it came out on Steam a couple years ago. And I agree with you. It's one of my favorite games ever. And I like watching. I like watching competitive Melee, but I could never really get into it. One, because the skill floor is so ridiculously high, and 2, because you can't customize the controls.
Yeah.
And I hate the default controls on a GameCube controller. But Rivals lowers the skill floor, make it easier to pick up, customizable controls, more unique characters, much more balanced.
Yeah.
And we hold Rivals tournaments here at Havenshine every Sunday during the afternoon. Come on, join, come have fun. If you have a setup, please bring it, because we could always use more setups.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's difficult to practice. I've been playing against CPUs for way too long.
You got to go to tournaments, or even go online, unless you have really bad connection at your home.
Yeah, I have to hook up my laptop to the Ethernet.
So, that's
it's tough,
frustrating.
but it's still fun. I've always labbing this upcoming week, just like for this tournament. I came here last week and it was my first Rivals tournament. It was so
You
sick.
did very well too. You came in second.
Yeah, I know. I was really excited. It was fun.
Who do you main again?
A Raster, and then I do a little bit of Absa.
The 2 characters I have most trouble with. Anyway, we're gonna wrap up. Worth it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. See you at the next tournament. Saximus here with our very own Starlight. Starlight, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. What do you want to talk about today?
Today I would just like to talk about Havenshine itself and what brought me in and what I like about Havenshine.
Well, what brought you into Havenshine, Starlight?
Technically common grounds, but what made me stay is what's more important.
Yeah.
I think what makes Havenshine so great is the players that draw you into a game. They teach you the basics. They make you want to get better. If it wasn't for Ricky Icebeam, I would never have continued playing Street Fighter.
Same with me. Same.
If it wasn't for you, I would never have picked up Rivals.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I agree. It's one of the things that really makes Havenshine really cool. If you want to learn how to play a game that someone else here plays, they'll be happy to teach you. I'm happy to teach anybody Rivals. Ricky's happy to teach anybody Street Fighter 5. And if there are games that you like that you want people to play more, we'll bring it down and we'll see how we like it. We'll have some fun.
And sure, anyone can learn combos and stuff from YouTube, but you really don't learn
The mind games.
how to play.
Yeah. It's a lot harder to learn a deeper level of a fighting game unless you're actually facing someone, and not just online, like face-to-face, in person, feeling them next to you. Not literally feeling them, but sensing their presence.
And not only that, but it just makes it so much more fun.
It's so much more fun than playing online. All right.
I just think that's what makes Havenshine Havenshine. It's the players.
I wouldn't keep coming back if I didn't like you guys.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having my own little segment on the podcast.
And thank you for joining us, Starlight.
Thank you.
See you at the next tournament.